News dump. Got a trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I would like to ask Hollywood to not put the parts there. I want to be surprised.
So do you want them to do sort of a retcon when part 2 comes out, then they dub the first one part 1?
Yeah, so once we know that it is a to be continued, once we've been empired, then wait a month and be like, by the way, part 1, you bitch.
Yeah, but so is that revisionist or is that true? Like when Empire hit theaters, do people think that was the end of the Star Wars saga?
No, they knew because I believe George Lucas said trilogy at that point.
So you don't really get Empire.
They weren't expecting that kick in the dick. And we weren't expecting, this to be the final Mission Impossible movie. But to say part 1, you know that you're ending on a cliffhanger.
You know what? This is a good question. Maybe for listeners that are a little bit senior to us here. What was the first movie that really did that? Gave you a cliffhanger that you didn't know a sequel was coming and left the audiences shook? That's a great question.
I think just even looking at movies in general of like cliffhangers, because there's not a ton in movies. It's usually on television.
Yeah, and this is different than an ending like Inception, right? The Inception ending, I wouldn't call a cliffhanger. It's more left to interpretation. But there are actual
your own adventure. Yeah.
There's cliffhanger endings, and I'm curious as to what the first movie was that like really blew people's minds with that.
Yeah, because you need to know ahead of time. Like obviously, Dune didn't even end on a cliffhanger; it just ended.
Yeah. It just walked out of the door, and you're like, "Wait, you're in the middle of a story here."
Like in the middle of that battle that Chalamet had in the third act, I'm like, "Oh, maybe they'll just end it right here with him, down and out." But he finished that battle, and then they're like, "Let's just go play with sand."
It's like someone called you to tell your story, and they're like, "Oh, wait, I got to call you back," and then they just never called you back, and you're like, "What? That was an interesting story."
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This movie looks dope.
I'll tell you, Goo, I have always been incredibly high on the Mission Impossible movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about them, and I've talked about it at length on the podcast before. I hate action movies for the sake of action.
Yeah.
This is the exception for me. These movies are just fucking cool. They're really cool. And generally, because they have that spy espionage, it makes it like a little bit better than a regular action movie, which is why I think it ropes me in. At this point, though, Ethan Hunt should probably be dead. He's not a big human being either. But I put this poll question out on the internet last week, Goo. John Wick, Ethan Hunt, Jason Bourne, or James Bond. And I didn't give any context whatsoever. People had a hard time deciding.
Like, who do you want to have sex with, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
When I think either way, the answer is Jason Bourne. To me, Jason Bourne's the best movies, and he's the best fighter because he's like kind of enhanced, right? He's got some shit installed in him. So I'd say Bourne. I'd say Wick is 2, though.
Bourne's my 3.
3?
Yeah, Bond is my 4. I'm just not a bondage boy.
No, but like if those 4 people fought a fatal 4-way, I think Jason Bourne wins.
I go Wick, Tom Cruise, not even Hunt, just Tom Cruise. Then Bourne, then Bond.
But Ethan Hunt is like a poor man's Jason Bourne.
He rides motorcycles.
Jason Bourne can do everything.
Yeah, but Matt Damon doesn't actually ride the motorcycles. Tom Cruise
don't know
does.
that. You don't put shame on Matt Damon's name. But I would put Hunt and Bond like tied for 4th. They're guys that just have gadgets, and you don't know what Bond is showing up. If you get 5'8" Daniel Craig, that's not a big Bond. If you get fucking 6'4" Sean Connery, that's 5'8"
Daniel Craig, 5'6" Tom Cruise.
How tall is Keanu?
He's probably only like 5'10", but
him and Damon are the same weight class, I think, though.
Talk for a second.
Because you gotta have weight classes in these fights. So Ethan Hunt might be in the lightweight division, but I could see Damon and Keanu both being about $170, $185 most.
Yeah, so he's 6'1". I would say right around like 185, 190.
Oh, 190 that's a big 6'1" for
He's
Keanu.
Old. He's old. You don't metabolize as quick.
He's never really been shredded though, right? He's always been a little scrawny.
Then Matt Damon's 5'10".
Okay. Yeah, I'd say Damon and Keanu.
And he's coming off air. He had to put a little bit of weight on for air.
That's true. In a real life fight, No, the two actors fought. Who do you think would win there?
Is it
Keanu
the
or
4
Damon?
actors?
No, I think those are clearly the top two, Keanu and Damon.
Keanu would, I think.
I think
Because
Damon.
Keanu knows Kung Fu.
I don't think Keanu has a mean streak. That's the issue.
Does Damon? Oh, Damon's from Boston.
Damon for sure does. Yeah, definitely.
Drink some Dunkins and slap you. News dump. Killers of the Flower Moon. We got a trailer. This is the Martin Scorsese, Leo DiCaprio, Bobby De Niro, who had another kid, by the way.
Insane.
I don't know what the hell's happening there. You see the wolves in that photo, Mac?
I actually don't know what the hell you're talking about with the wolves. What
He says it twice in the trailer. Did you not watch the trailer?
I watched it on my phone in a noisy area, so I didn't pick up much of the dialogue. It was
so at
more
first he's
images.
pointing at a picture of actual wolves. You see the wolves in this photo, and then all the men in that room. You see the wolves here.
Gotcha. When they all turn around at the end of the trailer there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what they're doing there. You know, that's real filmmaking right there by Marty. Fucking idiot.
Hey, Mac, I don't mean to be you. I don't
Mm-hmm.
mean to pull a Mac here because, quite frankly, I hate you. But this movie does not look interesting to me.
So, yes and no, because it's going to be like a crime thriller sort of thing. So that is always intriguing.
Yeah.
However, I think it's going to be like 4 hours long, and that immediately lampoons a lot of my excitement for it. I don't know, man. Like, what's the last Scorsese movie you loved?
Loved? I liked a lot of The Wolf of Wall Street, but it went on a little bit too long.
So, yeah, I'm sort of there with you, I guess.
Does that make me too much of a bro? Am I being a bro by saying that?
I think traditionally, well, I don't know how you really feel about The Departed, but one movie I'm much higher on than most is Wolf of Wall Street. And I am way lower on The Departed, and I don't know why that is.
I like The Departed a lot. It's very
more
good.
than Wolf of Wall Street.
It's probably more complete. I think Wolf might have Departed's just better. I do like Wolf though.
Wolf of Wall Street is more fun, and it has Marge Bob.
Martin Scorsese was holding up a picture of Leo DiCaprio in that movie. He's like, "Do you see the wolf in this photo?"
The Departed took itself too seriously. That's the thing. That movie's dead to me.
It earned its awards. It won it.
No,
plus, I like Nicholson. You don't like Nicholson.
You don't like him.
Made it
you don't like him in that movie.
You know what would have made him better is if there were two Nicholsons and one of them was playing the president.
Hear me out. Parent Trap with two Jack Nicholsons.
Just like in Mars Attacks. News dump. James Gunn did an interview with, I believe it was GQ or Vanity Fair. It was one of those two, but it's, let's go around and talk to every magazine, every website. And they asked him for his top 5 comic book movies. And this might be my favorite piece of, post Guardians. Let's talk about the movie and present ourselves, because he gave a really thoughtful list of the movies that he loves. Should I give them, or should I just not ruin it for other people?
No, give them, because I think it's worth discussing.
Okay, so he said Deadpool, both 1 and 2, as number 5. He leaned 1, but he said 2 was also great. By the way, he could not say his own movies. That was a part of the thing that he decided.
Sure. Yep.
Then he said History of Violence,
and
he cited it as one of the most memorable sex scenes he has ever seen.
I said that, or he said that?
He said that.
He said it too?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite sex scenes ever. I fucking love the sex scene in the stairwell. It's incredible.
And he said usually sex scenes take him out of the story. This one brought him into it.
The thing about History of Violence is, first of all, I never knew it was a comic book movie until like 2 years ago. But it's one of those very human stories and a regular guy doing heroic like things, and that always plays well.
He had Old Boy as number 3, and he said that hallway scene is a huge inspiration to almost all of his movies. There's almost always like a corridor or a hallway or something like that because of this movie.
I've actually never seen Old Boy. I understand all the references and I know the scene though. Maybe I'll watch that in the next couple of months.
Someone on Twitter asked him, "Wait, do you mean the original or the American remake?" And he said, "Are you kidding me?"
American remake for sure.
Yeah, he wants the American remake. That's what he said. Number 2 was Superman 78. And I thought the most interesting thing about what he said here was that what he loves about the movie is the duality of the way that Reeve presents it, not Reeves. I keep saying Reeves, but how he plays both Clark and Superman, and also the way that Superman gets joy out of saving people.
It's what I like about Superman, and it's what makes the Batman versus Superman battle and conversation so interesting, is that Batman, an actual human, hates being a human being, kind of hates humans. Superman, being an actual alien, all he wants to do is just be a regular human, really, and save people. And it's a very interesting thin line right there. And I think that's what makes that so interesting. And it's also like Superman 78 is I like it a lot more than you do because I'm a Superman fan.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know if it gets too much credit because it really was the first, way ahead of Batman 89. So I wonder if people give it a little too much credit just because it was first, because it's a cartoonish movie.
Well, but he also said it was one of the first movies that truly like pulled him out of reality.
Yeah, that's true. And you think about when that came out, like Star Wars had come out the year before, but there weren't many movies in that arena of like sci-fi heroic stuff. So Superman really was one of the first to do it.
Also, just the way that he passionately spoke about that movie really makes you believe that what he's going to give us for Legacy is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I fucking hope so.
Also, someone on Twitter is like, I saw what you said here. So you're just trying to take all the aesthetics from 78 and then turn it into this movie? I think we saw what happened in 84 Wonder Woman, and you're going to blow it. And he's like, that's not what I said, dude. Because you know how Gunn responds to everybody?
Yeah.
Besides us, when we're like, James Gunn, we love you.
I wonder if he has some of that. I wonder if Sean reads all his tweets and then upsell or puts the ones that like really piss him off up to the top there.
And at number 1, he had Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
He did 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or he just named 5?
No,
wow.
He went 5, 4. He said this is his favorite. He said that this, for being a multiverse movie, and I thought this is a little backhanded towards the MCU. He's like, for being a multiverse movie, it was so simple and easy to follow when other movies have issues with that.
Yeah, I don't really care for that line of reason though, because it's animated and we don't expect this long build up, and being that it's animated, you go into it with such a lower expectation level. It does do a great job, but also like we talked about it with Nick Cage, you barely remember he's in that movie. So you can praise it all you want, but there's really 3 characters that matter in that movie.
He said it was perfect. And it's awesome. It's a very good movie.
It is.
We're really
Great
excited
movie.
to see the
I'm
sequel
super
in a couple
excited for
weeks.
the second one. I'm actually going to be surprised if the second one isn't better.
I think the second one could have an issue with too many Spider-Men,
but we get the origins out of the way, though.
Also, it's going to be super long.
I don't think that.
The first one was kind of concise and toy, like a toiger. I love gold.
That's your top influential movie.
News dump. In Deadpool 3, we just mentioned Deadpools 1 and 2, but Negasonic, Teenage Warhead, and Yukio are coming back for DP3, played by Brianna Hillenbrand, not Shay.
Hildebrand.
What did I say?
Hillen.
Yeah, just like Shay Hildenbrand. And Shioli Kutsuna.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Someone out there can look it up. I don't have it at hand, but I believe Shay Hillenbrand had a 600 plate appearance season and drew 13 walks.
I thought it was 4.
13. 1-3. That is really hard to do.
I'm pretty sure that season that he batted second in the All-Star game.
I think he hit like 275, but his OBP was like 290.
13 home runs. He had a bunch of RBIs because he hit in front of Carl Everett.
Deadpool 3, I'll tell you, the one thing that this is nice to see, the one thing that this really shows or confirms is that they're bringing back what it was. Yeah. So they're not going to change the essence of those first 2 R-rated movies.
Don't get me wrong, though.
Full Deadpool.
I wouldn't be surprised if Yukio, if Negasonic Teenage Warhead, if his girlfriend, if they're only in the first part of the movie and then he gets sucked into a different multiverse, different dimension.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but keep on bringing them over. I do like that
Encouraging.
line of thinking. Yes. News dump. MCU Shows news.
Yeah, Goo. We had sort of heard, chatter of this a month or two ago for Secret Invasion, which comes out June 21st. More and more stuff is coming out about this miniseries. And I think by calling it a miniseries, it means it's only going to be one season,
Yes.
which is good.
But they also started Loki like that, and then they changed their
fair
mind.
enough. They're saying it's major Winter Soldier vibes, or at least that's what it's trying to be. That's what it's going for. So if that's the case, this is going to be an awesome show. It's going to be a great show.
And a good change of pace for them too.
Yep. And I think it really it'll lay the ground for a lot of what we're going to see the next, 2, 3, 4 movies, 2, 3, 4 shows. Too.
Avengers, New World Order,
the
Thunderbolts will all kind of play with this aesthetic.
And I think it might explain some unexplained things we've had from the last 2, 3, 4 movies as well.
News up. What else with the shows?
So Loki season 2 coming October 6th. I didn't see how many episodes that was going to be, but that'll be a weekly release. More notable, Goo, not because we're super invested in the show, but Echo season 1 is coming out on November 29th. And
all at once.
They're releasing the whole season that day, and I like that.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think they saw and they said, uh-oh?
No, I think they saw the reception to shows like She-Hulk and some of the lesser necessary shows and said, you know what? Let's give it to them all at once so they can binge it and not have as much time to pick it apart in between.
Or did they look at it and they said, none of these episodes at the end grip you and we need to have it run completely through?
It's sort of the same thing that I'm saying. Like
not
She-Hulk.
Exactly.
Like if Moon Knight came out all at once too, I think it would have made a lot more sense.
We still would have had the same issues. That final episode stunk.
Yeah, but you're also a little more invested because you just watched 5 in a row. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you mean. News dope. Big news for Mac. He is super excited. A new Hellboy is on the way, and I believe they've already finished shooting it.
I nearly shit my pants when IGN tweeted this out. They said, so I don't know what this means exactly because I don't know the lingo, Goo. Yeah. The quote is Hellboy has finished principal photography. Does that mean they're done shooting the movie?
No, that means I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong. Don't tell me if I am, but I'm pretty sure that they have everything set up to now shoot it. Like this is just before shooting.
Gotcha. Also, this is not a sequel to the 2019 movie. This is yet another reboot. So reboot number 2.
Don't go back to what they just did. If you're gonna do it, start it over.
I know, but we're rebooting a reboot already, and the originals didn't even come out, or maybe it's 20 years now. Maybe it was 2003 was the first one.
If you guys are listening to me, make this one grimier and make sure that you can understand what whoever's playing Hellboy. We need to understand what he's saying.
Goo, how about this for a tie into my story above? The movie is going to be titled Hellboy, the Crooked Man. The Crooked Man. I don't have any idea about the comics. Maybe that means something to some of you Hellboy readers out there. But listen, it can't be worse than the last one. I still think they could improve on those original 2, but those 2 Del Toro ones are pretty good.
Tight director. Tight like a tiger. I love gold. News dip. Natalie Portman is open to returning to Star Wars, saying, I have no information on this. No one has ever asked me to return, but I'm open to it.
Well, she came back to the MCU, so anything's possible, I guess.
She didn't die in the MCU, because in Star Wars, she died because they're hot.
Oh, sure, yeah, but look at all the Star Wars things we're doing. They were doing all sorts of time periods and whatnot. She could clearly pop up.
So what you're saying is, say in season 2 of Obi-Wan, because we really, really want that. She shows up in a cave, and Obi-Wan's like, I thought you were dead. And then she goes, it was a deep fake. Fake news, bitch. Where'd you hear that? The crooked media?
The crooked media. Yeah, I don't know where she would play in. Also, has she not seen how terrible Star Wars has been recently? So I don't know why she would mention
her Star Wars is also kind of bad.
Yeah, true.
By the way, in my head, Paul McCartney plays Obi-Wan Kenobi. Padme, I thought you were dead.
He's got an attachment for his lightsaber handle. It turns into a guitar.
Turns into a bass. I was in the band Wings. I have no idea how they would possibly. Maybe you can bring her back in an animated series, because they do in betweens of that time, right?
So. I don't know. No one needs this. No one wants this. I don't even think she wants it. She just need a paycheck.
No, she's got plenty of paychecks.
Does she?
Is she a doctor?
What has she been up to these days?
I think she's a doctorate or something.
I don't know. I don't think she does.
She went to Harvard.
Yeah, but for like 10 minutes.
That can still get you a degree.
That's true. I did about 10 minutes of work in college.
Weekend box office. Fast and Furious X did do well, but not as well as previous Fast and Furious movies. Actually, only was it the fourth worst? Is that what it says? It's confusing.
I don't know. I don't care about this movie.
There's 11 movies. It's the fourth worst, so it's like almost in the middle of the pack. It's not that bad. It made $60 million.
I would rather watch a movie with the 10 vehicles I drafted.
$67 million. I'm sorry, and that would be one of the greatest shared universes of all time if you had that, Mac. Made 319 global, but bigger news here is Guardians 3 stayed strong once again this weekend, made $32 million more.
I'll tell you, do you think Kevin Feige sits there every day and is like, man, we really fucked up with James Gunn?
I'm not sure if Feige does or if Feige's bosses do.
Well,
like,
yeah,
do they say,
that could be part of it.
Maybe we should have let Feige go.
Yeah, or maybe it's a dual thing. It's a like the first season of American Idol where it was Seacrest and the other guy, Dunkelman. Is that his name?
Dunkelman. Yeah. So you're saying that who are you calling Seacrest and who's Dunkelman?
That's for you to decide.
Because I refuse for you to call James Gunn Brian Dunkelman.
Well, Dunkelman got out for better or worse.
Dunkelman got out and then voiced a character on Clone High and hasn't been seen since. And not even the main character.
Do you really want to be Ryan Seacrest, though?
Seacrest, first off, as iHeart Boys, he's our king. Don't you dare badmouth Seacrest.
I mean, Seacrest has just been pigeonholed into this role for the rest of his life.
Pigeonholed into being a billionaire. Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, but all he does is host stuff, and I'm not sure he's good at it.
And now here's your top 40 countdown for the week.
That's all he's going to do.
He is
no personality there whatsoever.
You know what's weird is that when
have you ever heard Ryan Seacrest's opinion on anything?
He is our king. Shut up. They're listening. When he left his show with, what's her name? Kelly?
Dunkelman.
No. No, it was not an afternoon show with him and Dunkelman. Him and Kelly Ripa, right? They replaced.
Now I need that shit.
Yeah, they replaced Kelly. They replaced Seacrest with Kelly Ripa's husband.
Oh,
that was weird.
Strahan come on after Seacrest?
Strahan was before Seacrest.
Oh boy, I don't keep up with my daytime talk shows. How long was Seacrest on that show for?
Like 3 years, 4 years, maybe.
How's Strahan doing?
Strahan's on Good Morning America.
Oh, that's right. That is true. So
one of the greatest ascensions of all time, by the way. Think about athletes turn performers. Like, did you ever think that Strahan might be one of the most famous people to ever come out of the NFL?
No, but I also didn't think anyone with a gap that large in their teeth could ever be on television. So
also credit to Nate Burleson. He's on the same type of path.
I like Nate Burleson.
I do too, but
I like Nate Burleson.
Once again, when you were watching Nate Burleson as a wide receiver with the Seahawks, were you like, this guy's gonna be something big here?
Nate Burleson also very well dressed always.
Always
looks good.
He does a great job on the Nickelodeon games. He plays along so well. They have him do games, so he does color. He does color while a TikToker does play-by-play.
It's so true. You're right.
What talent is that? That's amazing talent.
Would you rather be Nate Burleson or Ryan Seacrest?
Nate Burleson.
Yeah, I agree.
Because Burleson's still on his way out.
Yeah, and he played in the NFL.
Seacrest can't get any higher. He's already at the top.
I don't think Seacrest could get any higher than like 2005. He peaked in 2005.
Well, so didn't Dunkelman, and you're a Dunkelman boy.
What's Dunkelman up to?
We don't know. We don't know
That's
what Brian
that's my
Dunkelman's up to.
post-pod activity this evening is figuring out what Brian Dunkelman's up to.
News dump.